Hey guys, welcome back. Hope we all are doing well. This is Mohammad Badruddin and today we are going to solve lab number 6 from HTTP host header attacks. And today we are going to see host validation bypass via connection state attack. The description of this lab is saying this lab is vulnerable to routing based SSRF via the host header, although the front end server may initially appear to perform robust validation of the host header. It makes assumptions about all requests on a connection based on the first request it receives. Okay. Now to solve the lab, we need to exploit this behavior to access an internal admin panel which is located on this IP address. And this time you have the specific IP address where the admin is published, and we need to delete the Carlos account. There is a hint which saying solving this lab requires feature first released in Burp Suite 2022.8.1. This is the version. This lab is based on real-world vulnerability discovered by Portswigger Research. Read this content, and I would highly recommend you guys to read it so that you can have more visibility and you can understand something new. Okay, so let's go. I already accessed the lab here. This is our lab, and without wasting time, I'm just going to adjust both of the windows, and this is our home request. Fine. So I'm just directly going to send this request to the repeater. Go to the repeater, send the request, and you can see 200. Okay. Now what I need to do is I need to try to check whether I can access this IP or not. Send the request, but here it's saying 301 moved permanently, and we are moving to this location. So this is the current application home directory, home page. Okay. And if you follow the redirection, every time you will move to the same home page. Okay, fine. So what I need to do here is, let's say if I try to access the admin panel, because the admin panel or portal is published on this particular IP. So let's see what happened. Again, 301 moved permanently. Fine. So this lab basically based on a mechanism or a methodology or a vulnerability which is TOC, TOU, time to check, time to use. So what happened in this vulnerability, that if application is validating something, so once you send the request, the application will validate that specific parameters, and from backend, if once the application is checked, okay, everything is perfect, the parameters are defined perfectly fine in the request, then it will process that request. So there is a little time window in between checking and in between using or processing that request. So time to check and time to use. So in that specific time frame, if you send the malicious request, because before we basically send the real or correct request, all the parameters are okay. So the application already checked and said, okay, all parameters are correct, everything is validated, everything is fine. But before processing that request, you send something malicious, and because the application has in its cache that, okay, in its decision list that, okay, we already validated everything and it's correct. So instead of correct request, it processes the malicious request which you send before the application process the genuine request. So the same methodology we are going to use here, time to check and time to use. So what I'm going to do here is send this request to repeater one more time. So we have two tabs now, and the first one, the first tab, I'm going to get it the correct one, because this is the same thing what I will try, that once the request application will validate it, it will say, okay, everything is fine, and the host header is also correct. So this is time to check, and application will say, okay, everything is fine. But before this request is being processed, we will send this request, and this request is basically the one which we need to be processed so that we can access the admin panel. Okay, so before going to do that thing, I also want to make one modification here. If you see the connection, it's saying connection is closed. That means once this request is being processed or is being sent, the connection will be closed, and it will count this request as a separate request. So instead of that, I want this request to be stuck. Okay, and for that purpose, for the connection, I'm gonna say keep alive. Okay, instead of close that connection, I say keep alive. So once it is keep alive, while it is kept alive, this second request will be sent and processed. So let's say everything is well, and we just need to create one tab group, and within this tab group, let's say TOC, TOU. Okay, and we add both of these tab in this group, and you can choose any color if you want. Create that group, and from here what we need is we need to send this request in a sequence within a single connection. Okay, within a single connection. So that's it, just send the request. And once we send the request, let's see, this is the first request, so you can see 200 okay, fine. And this is the second request, and you can see before this, in this request we found 301 status code, and it's saying moved permanently, but this time it is processed and we can access the admin panel. So if we scroll down, you will see here there is one form. Action is the endpoint to delete the user account, and the method is being used is post, and there are two parameters. First is SSRF and the second one is username. So that's it. What we need here is we need to just change the request method to post, and delete. This is the endpoint for deleting the user. Then within the post parameter, we need to put the SSRF token. So the SSRF token is this one. Copy that, paste it. Although at that point you can also try to send the request without SSRF tokens to check whether the application is actually validating the SSRF token or not. So even without SSRF, if the application process this request, that means also a problem with the application, because the application is not validating the SSRF. But this is just what you can test. So the second parameter is username, and the username which we want to delete is Carlos. Okay, so again, if we try to send this request separately, it is not going to work. So for that purpose, we again need to send this request in a sequence as a single connection. And if the Carlos is deleted, then we will find here the lab is solved. So let's fingers crossed and send the request. And as you can see, we solved the lab. So if we go to the first one, it's saying 200 okay, because of course everything is fine, the host is validated. But this is time to check, and before time to use, it actually sent this request. Fine, so that's it. I hope you understand that. Although I already recorded the whole module for the race condition, and where I define time to check and time to use in very detail. So if you want to learn that, you can go to the playlist for the race condition or race attacks, and you can see all the labs there and you can learn it. So that's it for this video. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Bye.